One of the questions we get asked sometimes here at OrCode is, what does it mean to do impactful outreach? Something we used to call solution-focused outreach or housing-focused outreach. Well, in this short video, I want to outline for you exactly what that means. Thanks for watching.
First of all, what we are talking about is a service delivered by people who are highly trained. There are predetermined standards, there are clear boundaries, and ethics are considered with each encounter. Where intervention is concerned, it's active, interfering, and persuasive. Active meaning the professionals are out of the office and even out of their vans, encountering unsheltered individuals, couples, and families outdoors. The majority of the time should be in the field. It's also interfering, and I know that sounds a little negative. All that really means is there's an effort to disrupt the trajectory of homelessness. Doesn't take away the fact that it is strength-based and person-centered, trauma-informed, and without judgment. It's also persuasive. There's no coercion, there's no force, there's no bargaining, there's no bribing. What we want is people to accept services based upon free will and with consent. Meeting people where they're at requires literally being on the street. In parks and deep in the woods, along shorelines and under bridges and highway ramps, amongst other places. Circumstantially, meeting people where they're at means respecting how the person is doing at the time of each encounter. Impactful outreach is respectfully persistent. A person or family encountered always has the right to refuse services. Someone who says no today, though, should not be forgotten or permanently ignored. We must continue to be creative and attempt different strategies like different times of day, different outreach workers, maybe different circumstances like encountering people during an adverse weather event. The goal is to help the individual couple or family, along with their pet if they have one, achieve housing. That may be through coordinated entry or maybe outside of coordinated entry. Think of things like family reunification when it's safe and appropriate, as well as those limited circumstances, which I know are kind of rare, when the person has the economic means to access housing and does not require support. The process involves assessment, deepening our understanding, and addressing immediate and housing needs. When I say assessment, don't think of assessment tools. Think of a more holistic approach. Deepening understanding is really about understanding strengths and resiliencies as well as any barriers to housing, like a lack of ID. Addressing immediate needs is things like transportation to a shelter or providing hygiene supplies. It isn't about providing tents, tarps, or sleeping bags. And ultimately, the goal is to meet each person's housing needs as rapidly as possible. The overarching objectives are to reduce and ultimately end unsheltered homelessness. To achieve those objectives, impactful outreach is remarkably intentional. Through the use of data, to predetermine which types of unsheltered individuals, couples, or families they will work with first. This is often related to certain variables like who is thought to be outside the longest or most acute. Think of your community priorities. Whatever type of person your community has said would be the top priority for supportive housing is likely going to be a great candidate to serve through impactful outreach. Impactful outreach builds rapport with each individual couple or family. There has to be trust. But remember, this is not the sole outcome being sought. It is rapport building for the purpose of being able to effectively serve and ultimately house the individual couple or family. Rapport can be a critical ingredient to move forward with housing, with informed consent, of course. We should know people by the name they choose to be called and the pronoun they wish to use. This is about making visible the invisible and treating people with dignity. The housing work is unrelenting. If it is through coordinated entry, guess who is responsible for getting all the paperwork done? That's right, the outreach worker. A person is missing ID, you know whose job it is to work on getting that? The outreach worker, with, of course, the person experiencing homelessness. But this is not about just making referrals to other organizations or telling people where they can go to access resources like assistance with identification. This is about accompanying people to appointments, advocating when necessary, empowering people always to get that which they have the right to have. Housing the couple outside of coordinated entry through family reunification, that's not a referral to another program either. That is the impactful outreach team having access to the resources to make that happen right from the street. And that's just a couple of examples to give you a taste of what's being referred to. The respectful persistence must always respect no. But that doesn't mean we have to leave people to die on the streets. We try, as I mentioned, different people, different types of day, different approaches, always giving a suitable enough time between efforts to re-engage. Beyond street outreach workers, impactful outreach may bring other allied professionals into the mix. Consider street medicine professionals, mobile income and benefits workers, a harm reduction worker, or trained peers. And finally, impactful outreach is about the nerdiest form of outreach there is. Data isn't just collected, it is used to inform decisions, amend efforts, improve deployment of resources, and determine whether or not the outreach is having the intended impact. I hope that helps enhance your understanding of impactful outreach. If you have questions or want training in impactful outreach, reach out to us at info@orgcode.com. If you're in the Twitterverse, I am at Orgcode. Please visit our website, orgcode.com, and if you're on Facebook, give Orgcode a like. Lastly, if you want a more fulsome understanding of impactful outreach, consider buying my book, The Book on Ending Homelessness, which is available through Friesen Press and for sale on Amazon. Thanks. Be awesome.